This episode of the Local Hustlers podcast is brought to you by Audible. If you're listening to this podcast right now, then I'm going to assume that you would also enjoy listening to audiobooks. Whether you're interested in business, history, comedy, science fiction, or romance, Audible has thousands of titles for you to choose from. We want you to try out Audible for free, so if you head to our link, you'll get a 30-day free trial and a free book. So go to audibletrial.com/localhustlerspodcast to redeem your trial today. Again, that's Audible, AUDIBLE, trial.com/localhustlerspodcast.
You're listening to the Local Hustlers Podcast, your go-to source for connecting with small businesses and entrepreneurs in the East Valley. Get ready to be inspired by local entrepreneurs as they share their stories, mindset, best tips, and advice. And now, your co-hosts, Dallin and Eric Huso.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Local Hustlers Podcast. This week, we're super excited to be here with Brenda Lopez with Spanglish Services. How's it going, Brenda?
It's going good. How are you?
We're good.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming
really
on
grateful
today.
To have you.
Take a couple of minutes and give us a little bit of a background on your life.
My name is Brenda Lopez. I am an immigrant. I was born in Mexico. Immigrated to the United States when I was 11 years old. So at an early age, when I arrived here, I didn't speak any English. So right off the bat, I realized the struggles with the language. I went through them myself. Later on in life, I learned English as well, and decided to become an interpreter 10 years ago. Until 7 months ago, I decided to create Spanglish Services LLC. The last 10 years that I've been an interpreter, I've seen the need in my community for, there's so many language barriers. It makes a huge difference to have an interpreter present to help you out and, walk through that process. That's why I decided to finally make it official 7 months ago. Ever since, it's been the best decision I ever made in my life. Not only do I get to help my community now, I get to make an income out of it, and I feel like I make a difference out there with what I do, because my number one goal to do this was to help out, with the need of language out there. That's why I do what I do.
Nice.
Great story. So 11 years old, you come to the United States not speaking a word of English. No. What was that like for you? Being 11 and being in a new country and not being able to communicate?
It was really scary. As you can imagine, as a child, as a kid, you not only leave everything behind, you come to where you don't understand the language. So it was really hard. That takes me back to a memory that I have when I first came here. My 6th grade teacher, at that point, she would force me to stand up in front of the classroom and read a notebook in English. I had no idea how to do that. And later on in life, I understood what she was doing for me. She was doing me a favor trying to do that for me, because thanks to that, I forced myself to learn English, because I was like, I'm never going to go through that. And it made me understand how difficult it is. And it made me, decide on doing this, because I know firsthand it's how hard it is.
How long did it take you to really understand English to a point where you were confident using it around other people?
Honestly, it took me a few years. I will say I would understand better like around high school.
Okay.
It is very difficult as well if you don't have practice. If you don't practice like my parents, I started being an interpreter for my parents.
Oh, wow.
Since I came here. Like as soon as my parents brought me here, somehow they said, oh, you're going to school, you already speak English. And they would have me interpreter for them, even though I had no idea. Imagine a 11-year-old, no English. Here's this legal document, interpreter for me, translate it for me. And then you have to, because they have no help. So that's why, once I had the opportunity, I don't know, it was something that came to me. I was like, I've been doing this since I came here. I know the need, I know the difference it makes, and I didn't want any other parents out there or people or immigrants or anybody going through that, what my parents went through.
Yeah, I think a lot of native English speakers struggle with some of those documents, so it's impressive that you were able to
Yes, they do.
To help your parents out with that. Take us back to Mexico. Where in Mexico does your family come from?
We are from Chihuahua, Mexico. It's in the north of Mexico. And it's really beautiful out there. I am something that they refer to as a dreamer. So basically, I haven't gone back. I have a permit to be here. I have a permit to work, everything, but I haven't gone back. So I couldn't tell you much other than what I can recall until 11 years old.
Gotcha. Do you have family that's still over there?
Yes, a lot of family.
And what was your parents' reasoning for coming here?
For a better life.
Yeah.
Better life for us. And that's what we're doing now.
Growing up, did you plan on starting a business at any point, or did you have other plans to go to college, or was there any specific industry you were planning on getting into?
Not necessarily. When you come from where I come from, just being here, the fact of just being here, that's it. You already have a better life. In our culture, it's very common that college, to further education, that's not very common. So I have an 18-year-old. I'm trying to break that barrier. I only got to high school. And with my 18-year-old, I'm trying to break the barriers, break the cycle, per se. And she's going to college now. In my end, I'm very appreciative of the opportunities I've had so far. Thanks to being able to be here now, I can think farther and go farther. And I started my own business now. I do think it took me way too long to decide on it, but I don't think it's too late.
Never too early, and it's never too late.
Yes,
I believe that.
Exactly.
You want to dig into a little bit of how you finally decided to, hey, I've been doing this forever. Why not make some money off of it? I could have a business here.
Yes, thank you for asking that. So I started a little bit over 10 years ago teaching ESL, which is English as a Second Language, to adults. Volunteering, because I always have had that want to volunteer and help and make a difference somehow. So I started at local organizations, and out of nowhere, people started reaching out to me to go and do it, to teach ESL at other organizations for pay. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it for free, but if you want to pay me, awesome, cool, right? Throughout the years, I will get calls here and there. Hey, will you come interpret to this event at this organization? It all started with, it's something that we refer to, there's a Language Justice Collective. We refer at it Language Justice Interpreting. And then from there, it got on to something else, to legal, medical. That's when I started realizing there's a lot more need of this in the community than just for language justice, or just for, it's not specifically to one topic. So then I was a paralegal for 8 years, and among those 10 years, I've been doing interpreting as well. And just basically got tired of being a paralegal, bottom line, and decided that if I went full-time as an interpreter, open my own business, I'll probably be better off. And it did. It actually worked out so far.
And as a paralegal, were you doing Spanish and English documents in cases?
Yeah, actually, number one of the requirements to be a paralegal at all of the law firms I worked at was to be bilingual. Okay. Basically.
Is there a difference, or is it kind of the same thing between being a translator and an interpreter?
Yes. Thank you for asking that, because I get referred as to translator or interpreter or vice versa. Translator is when it comes to documents. You translate, the words into the target language. Interpreter is when you speak it.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
Okay. Is anyone that's bilingual a good candidate to be either one of those, or does it take some extra talent or skills to be able to be a good interpreter?
I would say anyone that is bilingual could try to be an interpreter and translator, but there is a certain talent and ability that you must have, but it mainly comes from wanting to do it to help. Yeah. Not just for the money. I've been asked this before at different trainings I've been to for different certificates I've obtained. And that's been one of the questions. And I've always told them, if you're not in it to help and because you want to do it, not just for the money, then just don't do it, because you're not going to be a good one.
And so ever since when you mentioned you started volunteering, you did that. Obviously, you're not making money there. So was that all because you had a desire to help people then?
Yes, basically. Yes, that's why I started.
Where does that come from? Because a lot of people, especially younger people, are selfish and want to do things for themselves and things that, and I'm sure you enjoyed it, but yeah, just things that they love and things that just benefit themselves. So why did you have that desire to help other people at such a young age?
It's from my own personal experience. I think everybody does things based on their own personal experience. Like I mentioned before, I came here at an early age. Since an early age, I realized that starting all over, it's okay. You can leave everything behind, and you can gain it back, and sometimes even double or triple. And just the desire to help my community, because it is a community where a lot of people say they're gonna help, but it's more to like, there's politicians, there's certain people that will reach out to them just to gain something, not really to help. And it's just basically my desire to make a difference in this world, and that's my way to do that. I think so.
Awesome. Share with us, I guess, more about what you do and how you're able to make a difference in the world through your services that you offer.
Okay. Like I mentioned before, I'm part of Justice Language Collective. So that is nothing but justice language. Basically, any social justice issue that you can think of, we're going to interpret about that. So that's one way. Some are paid, some are volunteer. And I'm always going to stay linked to that regardless of how much I get paid for my paid work. Mm-hmm. Now, I also do medical interpreting through my LLC and through a lot of other different agencies. I get contracted by attorneys. I've actually have a few that I go interpret to their, for example, immigration appointments in person or over the phone since the pandemic. I do translation of documents. And it comes down to just regular, normal people that will call me, that people recommend me. Hey, I need this birth certificate. There's a lot of need. A lot of this immigration appointments, legal appointments, a lot of these people have birth certificates in their native language, which is Spanish, and they need that. Sometimes it's an emergency. And for the most part, I'll do those as well, because I know the need and the urgency there is for those documents. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned earlier how, when you're starting something like this, you take the risk of losing everything, and you touched on, you can make it back and even double, triple that after. But obviously that initial thought and that initial risk of losing everything is one of the main factors that stops people from starting their own business. Did you have those fears? Did you have those thoughts? And if so, what helped you to overcome that?
Yes, of course, I'm human. I had those feelings throughout years. Yeah. And that's why it took me so long to do that. Mm-hmm. But not only did I get tired of doing something I didn't really enjoy 100%, I have amazing people around me. I have really good friends that made me realize, see my own capacity, talents that sometimes at one point I didn't even see myself. So that had a lot to do with it. It had a lot to do with courage. I had to really say, either you do it now or never, because I'm not getting any younger. And, the more I wait, the less time I have to see if it's going to work out or not. At the end of the day, I said, hey, if it doesn't work out, I just go back to my 9-to-5 for a little while again, save more money, and then go back and try it again.
Love that attitude.
Yeah.
Love that attitude. Brenda, in working with your clients, I would imagine in some situations there's an immediate trust level, right? The more vulnerable the client is, like, I imagine there's like an immediate trust. Oh, thank you. You're here to save me. Like, you can communicate on my behalf. I would imagine other situations, like, there would be more of a need to build that trust with the client. Like, I have your best interest in mind and I'm here to serve you. How do you discern those two when somebody just, boom, gives you their full trust versus when you can tell there's some hesitancy, and then how do you build that trust with the client?
I'm glad you asked that. I don't know if I could share a little example I had not too long ago. I had to go interpreter for a patient that was about, to travel to a better life, per se, if that's a way to say that, because of COVID-19. It was an urgency to have an interpreter there because he was fighting with the doctors. He didn't want to be at the hospital anymore, so they would have to disconnect him. And they needed him to understand that he was going to die if they would do that. So I had to show up there as an emergency. And he was already very irritated. And seeing me there, I don't think he felt... Usually I'm used to it. Once I show up, they feel more comfortable. They trust more the doctor. They feel better. At that point, he was so irritated that he was like, what is she doing here? She has nothing to do with me. Why is she doing that? At that point, I just, I was in Spanish. I'm here to help you. I'm here to be your voice of reason, your voice with the doctors. He later on, when he realized I was just an interpreter there, he calmed down and he felt better because he was trying to communicate with the doctors. They were not understanding that he wasn't comfortable. He needed more pillows. Little things like that. It makes a huge difference. The doctors were not understanding him. And he was not understanding either that he was going to die if he left the hospital. It was very, very important. So when I got there and I told him that, then he felt a little better and he thanked me at the end and obviously apologized for the, initial behavior, but we figured it out at the end. And
did he stay in the hospital?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes,
and he got some
I
pillows.
got there on time.
And he got some pillows.
Yes, and he got
Good.
more pillows.
Good.
What did your family and what did your parents think about this as you kind of jumped in and started your own business? Were they supportive? Were they hesitant of the idea? What was their kind of general take on the situation?
My mom has always told me to do whatever makes me happy. But I don't think they see I don't know how to explain that. The capacity, what it really means.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're from Mexico. For us to even just have a job, it's more than enough. So now having your own business, it's something that is not really there for us. It's even more like college as well. It's the same thing. Even like with my daughter, they'll ask her when they see her, how are you? They never ask her how's college. I don't think it hits them in the way here, in the culture here, if it makes any sense. Yeah. Like they don't realize how important it is and how it actually, to me, it means like I mentioned before, breaking cycles. Mm-hmm. And like my daughters are a huge reason why I decided to do it as well, because I want them to see if your mom did it, you can do anything. You can do literally anything. Yeah.
Do you mind touching a bit more on that, on why your family and your daughters have served as an inspiration for you to start your business? Yeah.
Well, my oldest daughter, she's seen the struggle with me as a single mother before. And, she has been super supportive. She's very, very proud. She literally tells me probably every day how proud she is of me. And that's how I know she's inspired by me. And then my youngest one, the other day I posted a picture of my desk on Instagram. And she told me, hey, something's missing in that picture. And I'm like, what? She's like, you, Mom. So that right there, she's not very expressive, but that right there told me, I'm proud of you, Mom. You should be in that picture too, because that's your business. Yeah. So yeah, I believe I'm inspiring them somehow, and I hope it's true. But yeah.
That's awesome. And speaking of inspiration, do you have anyone in your life that has served as a role model or an inspiration for you to take that jump and start your own business?
Yeah, a lot of people around me. I have a few friends that have done the same thing. or their husband have, and they help their husbands. But there's been a few friends that have inspired me to do this as well. Mm-hmm. Yes, they're very successful.
Any particular examples of a friend or a role model, something they said or something they did that in turn helped you to overcome any fears that you had in getting started?
That's a good question. I think I'm gonna bring up my friend Jana. She did this a few years ago, started from scratch. She didn't look back. She left her 9 to 5. She was making really good money. So at first I was like, are you sure? But then at the same time I was like, but I support you if that's what you want to do. And she literally started from the bottom. And when I look at her now, I'm like, I'm very, very proud of you. And she's very inspiring to me. Yes.
Awesome. Do you find yourself spending more time cleaning your pool than you spend swimming in it? Then you need to get in touch with Flamingo Pools. Flamingo Pools is your go-to swimming pool maintenance and repair company in the East Valley. Whether it's weekly maintenance, repairs, green to cleans, or one-time cleanings, Flamingo Pools is there to take care of you. Here's a few things that makes Flamingo Pools stand out from the crowd. When you first sign up for service, they'll give you a free complimentary inspection of the pool to make sure everything is running smoothly. They'll also email you a service report with a picture attached after every visit so you know when your pool has been cleaned. They also offer a mineral treatment, which will keep your chemical levels down, allowing you to have a healthier bathing experience. At Flamingo Pools, they know that your pool was made to be enjoyed, so let them handle the rest. Check them out at azflamingopools.com or give them a call at 480-422-6013. Mention this podcast and get your first month of weekly maintenance free. That's azflamingopools.com and 480-422-6013. So just touching again on this idea of taking that risk and going all in and potentially losing everything. You talked a bit about your experience and how you were able to do that. What would your advice be for someone who might be struggling with those same thoughts? What can they do to kind of overcome those hurdles to get started?
Okay. First, save some money. You cannot, I would lie if I would say you can start this without any savings. But I saved, but it's not that I saved a lot either. And don't think, oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can. I wasn't making a lot of money either. I was, I support my house, my children, but I was putting some aside with that thought in mind. So I did the math. I'm good for the next 6 months. And so obviously everyone's different. You have different expenses, but I would say first step that. Second, just do it. Just don't overthink it. Mm-hmm. Think it, because I feel like most people overthink things. Like what if this? What if that? If it happens in the process, trust me, you'll figure it out.
Any particular examples of something that you didn't know right away when you got started, but you were just able to figure it out as you were going? Because I love that you bring that up, because a lot of people don't get started because they don't know everything, but you're not going to know until you actually get started. And once you're kind of in the thick of things, once you just do it, like you said, that's when you kind of are forced to learn things or you learn by experience. So I'm curious if there was anything in particular for you that you didn't know when you started, but after you got started, you learned lessons on the road.
Well, something that happened to me, but I don't know if it'll happen to so many people because I'm very overconfident. I tend to be very overconfident. And I made the mistake to be overconfident at first. And I didn't know I was going to start with 1 hour appointment or 2 hours appointments a week. So that mistake number one, I should have, because I always say, well, I've been doing this for 10 years. A lot of people know me already. As soon as I post it on Instagram and Facebook, I should be good, right?
Phone's going to ring off.
Customers are going to come flooding in.
Yeah, of course. And I'm good at what I do. Why not? But it doesn't work that way. It might if you're that lucky. But, I'm not the only one out there doing this. There's other people doing this. There's a ton of agencies doing this big time already. So network, obviously reconnect with that people that you know as well. And, but yeah, don't be overconfident. Prepare. You do have to prepare, and sometimes even prepare for the worst.
Yeah, it's either one way or the other. We think that not a single person is going to care about us or our business, or we think that every single person that we know or that knows of us are going to come flooding in. So it's kind of finding that balance when it comes to planning for the business.
Yes, and support you get it from everyone that knows you. Like, oh, I support you. Ooh, go Brenda.
Right.
But then I've had most of them have asked me how I can help you. I guess I am lucky in the part where I've had a lot of support, not only with messages and calls or likes on Facebook. They've sent me a lot of clients. I even have had friends that have Zelle me money. They'll be like, here, order more business cards, things like that. It really helps. I hope one day I can return those favors, double, tripled, and I will. I know I will. But even things like that, or showing up to an appointment with me, little things that mean a lot to people like me that were just getting started. And, you have days and nights where you start questioning yourself again. Did I do the right thing?
Yeah.
Am I really doing this? But at the end of the day, that kind of people are the ones that keep pushing you and reminding you, hey, just remember why you decided to do this. Why did you start it in the first place?
For sure. No, I love what you shared just about supporting people, because supporting friends and family members and business owners doesn't always mean, purchasing their product, because someone might not always need your translating service, or you can't, go to your friend's restaurant every night for dinner. But there's other ways, like you mentioned, to help business owners. So for our listeners, for people that, are supporting and wanting to support local business, I know you gave a few examples. What are some other things that people can do to support friends and family and just local businesses in the area?
Just referring. I think the number one is refer. Like you said, they might not need my service. Like my services, most of my friends don't need them. Okay. Right. They're all bilingual. Like, why do I need you? But like I said, one of them even put on her note when she sent me money, look, I don't think I'm ever going to hire you because I already, I'm already bilingual. But here, this is the way I can support you. Other friends, look, here's a client, or I know a lot of people that work a lot of law firms. I know some of these attorneys have been sending me work, not because they need me, because they want to support me. And that means a lot to me.
That's awesome. How do you find clients?
Well, most of my clients come from referrals. Okay. And lately I've been focusing on networking and marketing. As in, right now I'm just going to attorney's office and offer my services. And, just social media helps a lot. Yeah. And I'll get there where I can do more networking through online as well.
If I could follow up on that question, going back to the example that you gave of the gentleman that was in the hospital that was trying to get out of the hospital, were you contracted with the hospital? Or were you contracted with him? Because I'm sure there's thousands of people just like him in hospitals today that are trying to make medical decisions, and there's a huge language barrier and there's no interpreter there. So like, how do you reach that guy? Is it contracting with hospitals? Is it just word of mouth?
Hospitals and court hearings are very tricky. Those are usually contracted through agencies. And there's an opening once a year, either, for hospitals where agencies bid, where I could come in eventually in the future. As of now, for hospitals and court hearings, I go through agencies because it costs a lot of money and I cannot compete with other agencies right now.
With all those agencies and with all the competition, and I'm assuming that there is, what do you do to stand out? How do people, know to select you in your services versus someone else?
I actually have this local organization that used to go through an agency, and she decided to hire me instead. Mm-hmm. And the reason she gave me is that I'm very responsive, and I get things done quick. And they like more the personal contact with you. Agencies, sometimes they'll send, like every job I do, and I'm not even lying, that I go through an agency, they'll request from me again. because they like me. Sometimes they is based on that. They just like you. This organization, they say they loved me, and they'll rather just work directly with me than go through the agency.
Do you ever work as an interpreter in more casual circumstances of just people who are trying to communicate with others, or is it more like things dealing with law, dealing with hospitals, those sorts of settings?
It's everything in between, basically. Mm-hmm. Anybody that needs me to understand the other person. My slogan is building bridges through language, and that's it. That's all I want to do. Regarding of the topic or what's about, I'll be there.
Okay. So with those more casual situations, how do those people reach out? How do they find you, or how do they find an interpreter in general to help them out?
Well, to find me, you can find me through Instagram, Spanglish Services, or through Facebook, Spanglish Services LLC, or send me an email to spanglishsvcs@gmail.com. Again, Spanglish svcs@gmail.com. And or my phone number as well, 602-919-8186.
Awesome. Tell us what your favorite thing is about what you do.
I think since I'm very social and I love people, and I don't care, where you come from, nothing. I just love that human contact. Mm-hmm. I think that's my favorite part.
When you originally reached out to us, you talked about how it sounds like you're kind of on a mission to not only offer these services, but to inspire people around you and to share your story. Would love if you could just spend a couple of minutes and really dive into that and how what you do not only is beneficial to the people you're interpreting for, but how you're trying to touch, other people's lives, other women's lives, like you mentioned to us, and kind of what your end goal is there.
Yes. So I'm surrounded by very awesome women already. And a lot of those women inspire me in different ways. But I want to reach out farther. And a lot of those friends that I have from high school, I've seen so many talents in them throughout the years. I want to inspire them to go for them, to just, not doubt themselves anymore.
Yeah.
I doubted myself for so many years as well. I've been there, done that. I know the feeling. I want more women to know that they can do it if they believe in themselves first. No one else will believe in you as long as you believe in yourself first. So once you get past that, believe on yourself, then the rest will come and other people will be there.
Yeah, I love that. You can't expect other people to believe in you and trust in you and really do anything if you don't have those feelings about yourself. Obviously, that can be easier said than done. What is your advice to people who maybe are struggling to believe in themselves? How do you get people to see the potential that they have personally?
I don't think I have the correct answer to that. I don't think there's a correct answer. Everybody has their own process, their own ways, their own experiences. And my own experiences, I've learned from a lot of mistakes, obviously, like many of us have made so many mistakes, but I use them as a learning experience. And basically just through bad experiences where I've noticed that I started off with me. I didn't have self-confidence. I didn't believe in myself. And a lot of these negative things were happening to me because of that sometimes. So once you believe in yourself and have self-confidence, I always tell all women around me, you accept what you think you deserve. So if you think you deserve the sky, the moon, whatever you think you deserve, you will get it, and other people will reflect on that and will give you that.
I like that. So yeah, it has a lot to do with limiting ourselves, I guess, and
yes.
Where we see ourselves. And sometimes we set goals and reach them, but then we realize that we limited ourselves again because we set the bar too low maybe. Would you mind sharing some of your goals and what the bar that you've set for yourself is, and maybe if you have any experience so far in your time being in business, what you've been able to achieve by believing in yourself?
Well, 7 months ago that I started this, I set myself of a goal of making more money than what I was making, at least doing my own thing. Starting this January, I was starting to doubt that. I was like, okay, this is it. This is my goal. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to have to go and find a 9-to-5, which I don't think it will be too hard nowadays. But everything just came. I thank God, you know, and all the hard work, because I always say this, it's not luck. It's not just God's work. You also have to put a lot of work. And so everything worked out this month. And I'm happy to say that I don't have to go to my 9-to-5, and I'm not planning to. And things just keep getting better.
Love it. Throughout our conversation today, Brenda, I have gone back 3 or 4 times to your initial story that you told us when you were 11 years old and immigrated to the United States, and how hard that was. But you said something that just really struck me. You said just being here was good enough. Like, it was an upgrade, right? And I think that mindset has really served you well in starting this business, that just being here as a small business owner is good enough. Like, what you've experienced, your ability to interact with people, the growth you've had, the challenge you've had, the trust you've had to put in, has just been good enough. And I think that experience has really propelled you and will continue to propel you to be successful.
Yes, and I think experience, personal experience, it really gives me a lot of more understanding of what I do as well. I don't think I'm very appreciative of all the good and bad experiences I've gone through in my life, because I do believe that everything was to get me to where I am today. So yeah, you're right.
Awesome. Well, Brenda, tell us a bit about what the future looks like. You've talked about how you've been able to reach your goals so far since starting the business, but what other goals do you have? How have you continued to set the bar?
Well, if, everyone wants to make millions, everyone wants to not work,
right?
And that's not me. I don't plan to have millions. I don't plan to not work. I love what I do. I call it work because I get paid for it, but I don't see it as work. I do think I have a purpose, and this is it for me. And so just my goal is just to reach more people. Right now I'm planning a bunch of meetings with attorneys to reach their clients. I actually just hired a scheduling assistant to help me, because, while I'm in appointments, I can't be in my phone. And these appointments, I have to respond real quick if I'm available or not. So I have that help now, and just keep reaching more people.
One more thing that you mentioned that I'd love to touch on is purpose. So it sounds like you really feel like you're fulfilling your purpose by doing this. Would just love to hear just your insights on what that word really means. It's a word that is pretty common, but I don't know if we all fully grasp the definition of it. So what is purpose to you, and how can people make sure that they're fulfilling their personal purpose?
Well, I'm a believer that everyone has a purpose. We all come to this world with a reason why you came. Why are we here? We can all make a difference somehow. It's just a matter of really thinking, okay, what are my talents and how I can use them to reach my purpose, basically. So it's just something that if we all actually sat down and thought of it that way, not just how can I use my talents to become rich? How can I use my talents to just, not work anymore? Or just use your talents to reach your purpose. And once you do that, then, you'll probably be doing what you love, because that was your purpose. And then somehow you are making money.
So I'm going to assume that you've experienced hard times in business like all of us have. Does having a purpose, or does having a business that is surrounded by a purpose make it easier to overcome those hurdles and overcome those hard times in business?
Definitely, because if I didn't feel it was a purpose, like I said, I used to be a paralegal, and it didn't feel like a purpose. And some of this, the longest time I lasted at one of the law firms, it was almost 4 years. The other ones I changed every year. Why did I keep doing that? Because it didn't feel, I wasn't enjoying it, and it had nothing to do with my purpose. But at that point, I wasn't thinking that way.
So let me ask you this as well. At the time, did you know what your purpose was, or were you still trying to figure out what that was?
I think both. I think deep down I knew. I just wasn't brave enough to go for it. Because again, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years, but not until 7 months ago, I started my own, to go and do it for a time and go for it. But the whole time it was both doubting myself and deep down knowing this is it, this is what I like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Brenda, thank you so much for sharing all that information with us today.
Beautiful story.
Yeah. Before we close up, we've got a quick game we're going to play with you. Okay. We've got a list of 20 questions we're going to ask you, and you've got a minute to answer as many of the questions as you can. All right. You can go ahead and start us off in 3, 2, 1.
Your dream vacation.
I what? Mexico.
First thing you'd buy if you won $1 million.
A house for my mom.
Favorite hobby.
Dancing.
If there was an Olympic competition for everyday activities, what activity would you have a good chance at winning a medal in?
Talking.
Your favorite song.
Any song from Romeo Santos.
If you lived to be 100, would you rather have the mind or the body of your prime self?
The mind.
Your favorite holiday.
Halloween.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Vanilla.
Favorite fictional character.
I have no idea. I don't have a fictional character.
Favorite smell?
Roses.
What's your nickname?
Below.
Pet peeve?
I don't know, when people don't listen to me.
Your favorite restaurant.
We'll let you answer this one.
Favorite restaurant? I don't think I have one. I love all food.
All food?
Well, you got to give us one.
Chinese food. I don't know. There's this restaurant on China Chili, I think.
Cool.
Okay.
I'll have to check it out.
Go check out China Chili. Where's that located?
It's 3rd Street and between Thomas and Osborne, somewhere there.
Okay.
Nice. Well, Brenda, you already let everyone know your contact information. Any other places where they can find you or connect with you if they're wanting to follow your journey, learn more about you, or hire you for your services?
No, just my Instagram and Facebook, and send me an email if you need me to interpret or translate. Pretty soon I'll have my website, so
awesome.
That's coming.
Okay. Well, thanks again for coming on. We loved learning more about your story and the inspiration that you serve for your family and for others around you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
Thanks, Brenda.
We'll catch y'all next week. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Just a few things before we go. First off, if you or someone you know is an entrepreneur in the East Valley, we'd love to have you on the show. Please get in touch with us by emailing us at localhustlerspodcast@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at localhustlerspodcast. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for the latest news and updates. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please take a few seconds to rate and review and hit that subscribe button. It lets us know how we're doing, it helps us grow so we can reach more locals, entrepreneurs, and help small businesses grow. Thanks, guys.